Good afternoon. I am Frankie Atwater, President and CEO of the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. Today's event is a celebration of the Chamber's work in the community. The Chamber was founded in 1938. The DeKalb Chamber, as we see it, is the catalyst that attracts, supports, and advances business interests in DeKalb County. The Chamber equips business members to access to resources and information, advances education and workforce development, economic development, and public policy. And the Chamber works to enrich the quality of life in DeKalb County and the Metro Atlanta region. During the event, we encourage you to join on our conversation in social media. And so please, if you could, include the hashtag DCOC4Biz, the number 4Biz, in your social media post today. At this time, we would like to recognize our presenting sponsor, Georgia Power, for their support. We encourage you to visit the expo area of this virtual event to learn more about our sponsor. Now, I would like to invite Tony Hanna, Regional Director of Georgia Power, to give the sponsor remarks.
Thank you, Frankie. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for DeKalb, for the DeKalb Chamber's annual meeting. For those of you who don't know me, again, as Frankie said, I'm Tony Hanna, Regional Director with Georgia Power, and a very proud member of the Chamber's Executive Committee. Georgia Power is excited to serve as presenting sponsor for this year's annual meeting. I personally have been affiliated with the Chamber for the past 4 years. However, Georgia Power has been an unwavering supporter of, investor in, and partner with the DeKalb Chamber for decades. As you can imagine, we've all been through some pretty tough times with COVID these past 2 years. However, I can honestly say that the Chamber has stood tall in the wake of COVID, serving as a leading organization in DeKalb County. We never closed our doors and have continued to provide programming, events, and support for our businesses in DeKalb. We have what I think is an incredible executive committee and board who have really leaned in with an all hands on deck approach during these times. And we also have a wonderfully talented, capable staff in President and CEO Frankie Atwater and Operations Director Stephanie Strength. I appreciate the support of everyone who's here today for our annual meeting, and I look forward to our great year ahead with the DeKalb Chamber.
Excellent, excellent. That is such a nice privilege that we have to have our sponsors here on board with us today. A few technical issues right now. So thank you, Tony. And up next, I would like to invite DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman to bring greetings from the county.
Thank you, Mr. President, CEO Atwater. Thank you for the invitation to be with you today. I'd like to also acknowledge the current chair, Mr. Trevor Condry, and of course, congratulate our incoming chair, Ms. Elaine Armstrong. On behalf of the 770,000 residents of DeKalb County, I would like to express our appreciation to the Chamber, its membership, for supporting and investing in our county and providing and continuing to support economic growth for DeKalb, as well as tens of thousands of jobs for our residents. Our government, along with the Board of Commissioners, is committed to supporting this chamber and making investments to improve the economic opportunities within DeKalb County. I'm proud that in 2017, the Chamber supported our effort to invest in a SPLOST referendum, the first ever in the history of DeKalb County. Along with our municipal partners, are investing over $600 million in improving our streets and roads and bridges and other public infrastructure. Last fall, we signed a $1.2 billion consent decree to upgrade our water and sewer system. We have 4 of the largest economic development projects in the state currently ongoing here in DeKalb County. Great transportation, great institutions of higher learning, Emory, Agnes Scott, Georgia State, and Mercer. Great Technical College, and Georgia Piedmont Technical College. So all of these resources tell me we're headed in the right direction. And finally, I want to acknowledge a legendary figure in terms of business and civic engagement, and that's no other than the legendary Doug Hooker. Thank you so much, Mr. Hooker, for gracing us with delivering a message today, but more importantly, thank you for your contributions to Metro Atlanta, including DeKalb. You've done yeoman's work. You made a huge impact on the quality of life of our state and this nation. You've earned your retirement, but you will leave a legacy of inclusiveness, of growth, job creation, and economic opportunity for all. Thank you all so much for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Atwater, we look forward to following your leadership as we move into the future here in DeKalb. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Michael Thurman. We truly appreciate your presence as well. At this time, I would like to invite our past chair, Trevor Quander, to give remarks.
Thank you, Frankie. Not quite past chair yet. I still have to pass the gavel. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as chairman of the board of directors for your DeKalb County Chamber of Commerce. In my year as chair, along with a host of talented people that made up the executive committee, we were able to devise a strategic plan that embodied the fundamental principles by which we operate. We revitalized committee goals, objectives, and assignments. We led the effort to read, review, and revise the bylaws. And we also hired the new president and CEO, Frankie Atwater, after an extensive search, interview, and vetting process. Alone, none of these tasks were easy or simple, and together they seemed insurmountable at times. I know I speak for the executive committee and staff when I say there were some extremely long days planning and structuring this chamber's reorg. But what has emerged, what is now before you, is an organization rebuilt through resiliency, rooted to its foundation to deliver on its vision and mission statements. Many of you will agree that we have a long way to go, but we've come a long way yet. We were able to piece together the building blocks that will enable this chamber to reach for new and dramatic outcomes, forging and solidifying key relationships locally within the community we serve and regionally. On the horizon is a better, more robust communication strategy for members and investors, the development of a more personalized experience when you interact with this chamber and not just a cookie-cutter branch of services. We recognize that every business here is unique and every member faces their own unique set of challenges. And with that, the chamber's in place to not only help them overcome those challenges, but to learn and thrive and make well-informed business decisions. I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done over the past 2 years. And I am very resigned in knowing that we're in great shape and poised for even greater things to come. A warm, heartfelt thanks to the board members who stepped up when we needed you most. Thank you for leading and chairing committees. Thank you for investing and sponsoring our programs. Thank you for your advice and knowledge when called upon. And most of all, thank you for taking the time and opportunity to engage and assist with the heavy lifting. Personally, I would like to take this time to thank Elaine Armstrong, Tony Hanna, Brandon Hartley, and James Tissimanakis for all the work they have done to help me on the executive committee. Also, special shout outs go to Fred Daniel, Earl Walker, Jeff Taylor, and Skip Vaughn for helping me hold it down as well. In closing, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve and grow as a leader with this organization. We still have work to do, and we ask that you continue to stay engaged with us. I want to take a moment to recognize our new board members, Theo Anderson with Mercer University and Frank Lazaro with CERM. I also want to recognize our current board of directors. Elaine Armstrong with Goodwill North Georgia will be serving as chair. Brandon Hartley with AT&T will be serving as chair-elect. Jeff Taylor with Mercura Health will be serving as treasurer. Skip Vaughn with Pepsi will be serving as secretary. And James Tissimanakis with Discover DeKalb will be serving as past chair for the second year in a row. Thank you, James, for that healthy effort. We also have Luz Barrero with MARTA. We have Fred Daniels with Citizens Trust Bank. We have Patrick Desamores with Edward Jones Investments. Alan Dishman with Wells Fargo. Matthew Goetti with Truist. Deanna Levitt with Levitt & Sons Funeral Homes. Dr. Cornell McBride with McBride Research Labs. Robbie Nash with Gas South. Mary Parker with All-in-One Security. Correggio Reggie Piegler with Brown and Caldwell. We have Scarlett Presley Brown with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. We have Kelsey Queen Robinson with EGM Services Incorporated. Rakaya Thomas with Atkins Global. My good buddy Earl Walker with Image 360 Tucker. Glenn Wallace with Oasis Consulting Services. And Betty Willis with the Emory Healthcare. Thank you all for serving. I hope you will join us in creating a stronger environment in which to do business and a stronger community in which to live, play, and raise our children. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our new chair. It is truly an honor to introduce you to our new board chair, Elaine Armstrong. During her distinguished career in marketing and public relations, Elaine continues to exemplify her dedication to building a stronger DeKalb County and advance business interests in the metro area. Ms. Armstrong has served on the board chamber of directors since 2017 and has chaired the Chamber's Education and Workforce Development Committee and Nominating and Board Development Committees in the past. As Vice President of Marketing for Goodwill of North Georgia, Ms. Armstrong is responsible for leading a team of highly skilled professionals in the creation and execution of marketing and communications programs and strategies. She also advises and supports Goodwill's business operations teams on a broad range of marketing issues while focusing on carrying out the organization's mission, strategic plan, and business goals. Ms. Armstrong was recently named by the Atlanta Business League as one of the 100 most influential African American women in Atlanta and a 2019 Woman of Influence by the March of Dimes. She was named to the PRSA Georgia's inaugural 40 Under 40 class and Nonprofit Pros Marketer of the Year for 2020. She is also a proud graduate of the Leadership Atlanta class of 2020. Elaine is someone I think of as the epitome of a servant leader. She is humble, thoughtful, generous, and compassionate. That combination makes for an exceptional leader, and we are fortunate to benefit from her service to the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. Elaine, we are excited to have you as our new chair of the Board of Directors, and I now pass upon to you this gavel.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Wow, those kind words. To my fellow members of the board, chamber members, county and regional leaders, partners, and friends, as the new chair, it is my great honor to serve in this role as we continue to embark on the new era for the DeKalb Chamber. I accept this virtual gavel as I also accept the responsibility to support and help this great organization build and flourish as we all continue to work and live in these extraordinary and ever-changing times. I thank my colleagues on the board for their confidence that you have placed in me and electing me your chair, and I will endeavor to meet the moment with courage and grace. And especially, I want to thank our immediate past chair, Trevor Quander, for setting a remarkable example of how to lead this great organization. Thank you, Trevor. To our newest board members, welcome and congratulations on your election to the DeKalb Chamber Board of Commerce, or to the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And to our returning board members, thank you for your commitment and dedication. I know you have all put in so much time, and we appreciate every time you show up for DeKalb County. Each of us in some way has been affected by the pandemic and its resulting effects on our economy, businesses, and the way we all live. I mean, it's the reason why we are all here on a virtual platform today, and we're hosting this meeting virtually. And unfortunately, we are all still desperately waiting for the day when we can turn this pandemic into an endemic. But if I had to find a bright spot in it all, it would be this. The pandemic has revealed and in many cases become the driver for disparities, challenges, and all around difficult times for everyone across our county. But when we can recognize and acknowledge the issues, we can also work to solve them. So during this great moment of challenge, I look forward to helping to lead a team that will not only create a stronger and more invigorated chamber, but also an organization that provides unparalleled service to its members and makes a long-lasting impact across DeKalb County. Thank you all so very much. It is my honor to serve as your new board chair. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elaine. We truly appreciate it. We're excited to have you and begin working this year with you as well. And this year, for our annual meeting, our theme is drive success, embrace innovation. And many have asked the question, well, how did you come up with that theme? Well, the theme itself really helps to push and encourage our small businesses to think about the success they had prior to the pandemic and the success they'll have going forward. But understanding that as we come out of or move through or migrate through this pandemic environment, that there will be some new innovative ideas and things to embrace. So we want to encourage you as well to embrace innovation and not steer away from it. But the chamber is here to help you to do that, to embrace innovation. And so really to help us understand and appreciate even more about the chamber, we're looking at the past and the present. How has the chamber been in the past and where are we at currently and what does it look like for the future? Well, the opportunity to serve a community of businesses in a prospering county like DeKalb County is a great privilege. I can tell you that we are in the midst of recovering from one of the most horrendous pandemics the world has ever experienced. So while during the challenges and uncertainty, many of our businesses continue to thrive. Our first responders, frontline medical staff, police, fire, and educational institutions face the threat of this pandemic head on, and they continue to be resilient. And they are to be commended for their heroic work and their continued bravery as we continue to deal with these subvariants of COVID-19. The chambers of commerce around the country, they continue to tackle the impact of the pandemic on a different front, and that is providing protection and necessary resources for our small businesses to continue to thrive. Now, this is in harmony with early American chambers, where our business members organize for the protection and promotion of commerce. The DeKalb Chamber of Commerce was established in 1938. Now, you think about that for just a moment, how long ago that was and when they were established. And as a realization to the importance of developing a prosperous, healthy, and happy community. In the early 1900s, most local chambers were primarily interested in attracting new industries to their communities, and civic and commercial development took second place. But gradually there was a change. The chambers recognized that in order to be true to its purpose, they must remain primarily business organizations and express the point of view of business. So what's today's landscape look like? Well, the Chamber of Commerce of today has little in common with the old Board of Trade or the Booster Club of years ago. The change has been one of refinement. The philosophy has changed. See, just as chambers through the centuries, they have changed and adapted to meet the needs of the time, so will the DeKalb Chamber. As our chairman had mentioned, Trevor Quander had talked about the resurgence of the trained chamber and a direction in which the chamber is going and the rebuild and the work that went into this chamber. We are resurrecting, or in a sense, launching this new chamber where many of our business members and our business community will continue to improve and engage with. We are truly looking forward to that in 2022 and as we move into 2023 as well. But in 2020, the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce experienced what some may call a rebuild or reconstruction of how we can best serve our business community and become a stronger resource for businesses and community organizations. The focus was a restructure of our bylaws, recognize gaps in services, redesign our focus, and find a way in which we, as a chamber, can increase the value of our member investments. The Chamber Board Executive Committee was fast at work, committing an enormous amount of time to stand up a chamber that will garner the recognition and respect in the region. And every time I think about that, I want to applaud them for their efforts. They had meetings weekly, executive committee meetings, working through to reestablish this chamber so that this chamber can be the organization that it once was, or even better going forward. But in 2020, we had 63 new members join the chamber, all because of the work of that team. We had numerous events in 2020 that could highlight the points of the chamber. We had business after hour events, day at the Capitol events. So we can see as the work continued with our executive committee and the board members, we were still able to have these events. Economic development meeting in partnership with the DeKalb Development Authority to do what? Bring members an update on the county strategic plan or economic development plan. We had small business town hall meetings as well, COVID funding webinars, and small business forum with Congresswoman Lucy McBath. But we continued even forward. Although the team was working, progressively working week by week, working together now think about it, they have their day jobs as well. So they're moving a lot of their time into this. This is how much they really care about the importance of this chamber, but its success. Town hall meetings, webinars. They had education businesses on funding. They partnered with the Georgia Chamber and the U.S. Chamber on advocating for our local businesses. They serve on DeKalb County's COVID-19 task force. They partnered on the Better Business Loan Program, which had over 200 local businesses that participated. Internally, hired a director of operations who's done a fantastic job, and new membership structure with discounts for nonprofit organizations and business startups. They developed a new chairman's circle membership level, and then really to help give us that guidance and direction that we need as a chamber, to help give us the steps for success in going forward. The board did a planning session for 2021 and modified that plan even going into 2022. See, in January 2021, the chamber began to surface from its rebuild and charge forward with the strategic work plan in harmony with its mission and vision. The board stabilized and provided the energy to regain member participation and increase investment of time to make the DeKalb Chamber once again the model chamber within the metro area. So then we move into 2021. We had an outdoor event, Meet the President. We were thinking with COVID, we don't know. We're going to follow the CDC guidelines and make sure everything's outdoors so we can have the airflow and things happening. We had a lot of participation. We had our annual golf classic, a salute to heroes. We dedicated the resources received from that classic to support the efforts for our first line responders, police, fire, medical, education institutions. It was all about them. That was the focus. They are the ones that were on the front line and still there dealing with this pandemic. We took the opportunity to visit our friends in Tucker at Tucker Day and Tucker Manufacturing Day. We had our second annual DeKalb Business Owner Summit. And we also took the time out to show up at ribbon cuttings, dedications like the Emory Musculoskeletal Institute ribbon cutting, a nice addition to this region. We took time out to collaborate with our partner organizations. We initiated quarterly meetings with economic development organizations in DeKalb County, like Decide DeKalb, Advance DeKalb. Our meeting also included Georgia Piedmont Technical College. Our plan is to continue to meet quarterly to discuss these projects, but not only that, how best we can assist each organization. Because we find that if we can assist one another, these organizations, how beneficial that is that for DeKalb County. So on a quarterly basis, we will get together. We'll bring our minds together to think, to provide input on projects, but how can we work to best advance this county? We partner with DeKalb Chamber School District to promote the educational special purpose local option sales tax, East Blast. What an exciting time. 80% of voters voted in favor of that. So we understand now, we see where our voters and our community representatives and people in DeKalb County would like to see us go forward with our education institutions. We had a discussion on a reinstitute of the Better Business Loan Program. As a group, as economic development entities, we recognize gaps and how we can improve that program to assist our small businesses. So what's our goal? To reinstitute that, a better business loan program to provide you the assistance you need as a small business. But to continue that, our partnership with the South Atlantic Division of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I have to give credit to Trevor Quanah for that. He stepped in and pulled that partnership in, and now we have a relationship that we've built. We're building with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The purpose of that is to open up the opportunities for small businesses to begin bidding on projects so that you can have the opportunity to expand and grow your business. Yes, we amended our strategic work plan going into 2021. The executive team, along with staff, completed our chamber bylaws. And as the privilege I have today, I was hired to come in and lead the effort of the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. We designed a new chamber website, which will be launching soon, possibly tomorrow. And we have resources that we applied for. We submitted a grant to the state of Georgia for funding to support small businesses in economically distressed areas of DeKalb County. So with all of this being said, in 2020, 2021, the work that went into this, what does the future of the chamber look like? Well, it's my vision to enhance the chamber's mission and to be a catalyst for launching new ideas and drive productive solutions. So the question some may ask is, how do we get there? Well, we have accomplished a lot in 2 years. And what we've accomplished in 2 years is how we will continue to maximize our vision. We'll continue to create opportunities for growth and resilience. We'll drive our success by increased marketing campaigns and keeping our past success before us. We'll embrace the opportunity to incorporate new ideas and change the dialogue. We'll continue to collaborate and build partnerships with our workforce development community, education institutions, and economic development entities. We'll help to build a modern, nimble workforce that meets the needs of business leaders and provides pathways to advancement for all people. And we'll continue to work with the Georgia Chamber of Commerce and our other Georgia Chamber partners to fight the threats to growth and job creation. The big picture in all this is that we'll continue to promote collaboration. We'll expand the network of partnerships along the growing transportation corridors in DeKalb County to advance business solutions. We'll continue building partnerships with neighboring chambers, municipalities, and school districts. We'll expand our network and opportunities for DeKalb County businesses. We'll grow a culture of inclusion. And we're going to do this by helping to develop creative, open-minded, inclusive workplaces without assumptions. We'll help to be a leading voice in proactively advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives designed to support talent attraction and retention. We'll develop thought-provoking programs each year to inspire local businesses and community groups to identify bias in a judgment-free fashion, embrace all forms of diversity, and build productive relationships. And our focus will continue in building the future workforce. We'll support local businesses' demand for technical, skilled, and medical workforce. We'll continue to support and be a leader in bringing more attention to the high demand and great opportunities of careers in the professional trades through working closely with the DeKalb County WorkSource, our education institutions, and elected officials. We'll continue to push forward and being a leading voice in an effort to shift parent and student thinking, as more in-demand careers will require only an associate's degree or a trade certificate. Driving more talent to these careers are vital for our region's workforce. Your DeKalb Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going to say friends. Friends, your DeKalb Chamber of Commerce is strong and positioned to advocate in support of our businesses in DeKalb County and the Atlanta metro area. So I encourage you to continue being an active member of our chamber as we continue to position ourselves for success in 2022. At this point, I would like to invite Brandon Hartley, our chair-elect, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Frankie. And first, let me start by thanking Trevor for the work that he did to kind of set us on our way. And congratulations, Elaine, to you as well, and taking over the proverbial virtual gavel today. And we look forward to you leading the way through the course of 2022. As Frankie mentioned, I'm Brandon Hartley, the chair-elect of the chamber, and I get the distinct pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker today, Mr. Doug Hooker. For those of you who do not know, Mr. Doug Hooker is the Executive Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. Mr. Hooker is an Atlanta educated with degrees in mechanical engineering and public policy from Georgia Tech and an MBA from Emory University. He started his career with Georgia Power, our sponsor for the day, where he learned the importance of community work by volunteering with Junior Achievement. Certainly, we all agree a great organization there. He also served as a commissioner for public works for the city of Atlanta while helping with the Olympics along the way. He even had a stint in government as a devoted, committed Democrat. He worked for former Governor Sonny Perdue as the Director of State Road and Tollway Authority. Throughout his career, Doug has intensified his community activity with Research Atlanta, the Georgia Conservancy, the Fox Theater, the North Georgia Water Planning District, and many, many others. Doug's love for music, for many of you have probably heard this, he's got very passionate about music, led him to serve on many boards, including the Atlanta Music Project, the Atlanta Opera, and the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. In fact, Doug is in the process of completing his own symphony, which will be on display at Georgia Tech University in the coming weeks. In 2011, he became head of the ARC, where he and the rest of the agency worked through some difficult times that included not only a recession, but most recently, as we all know, the recent COVID pandemic. He believes his most important internal achievement was getting his colleagues to change the way they relate to the community, something I think we could all agree. He retires in March with a formidable track record of service, leadership, and community involvement. And then most recently, this past week, Mr. Hooker was inducted into Georgia Trent's Hall of Fame. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me or help me in welcoming Mr. Doug Hooker.
Thank you very much, Brandon. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for that generous introduction, and my thanks also to the CEO for his very kind remarks about my track record here in the region. I appreciate that. But it takes a great leader to recognize people like me who've tried to make our contributions. And he certainly has been a great leader. I also want to thank Frankie Atwater and Trevor Quander for inviting me to be your keynote speaker today. Want to thank Elaine and congratulate her as the incoming chair. I know she's going to build on the great work that Trevor and Frankie have done for the past 2 years and continue to lead you all upward and onward. So I wanted to say, first of all, it's been a great honor to be able to speak to you this afternoon, to be your keynote speaker. DeKalb is a very important and vibrant part of the Metro Atlanta region. It always has been. But there are challenges facing DeKalb that you as business residents and probably some of you as DeKalb residents as well need to come together to work with each other and work with your local governments, the counties and cities, and your communities to continue to address in order to make DeKalb a vibrant and strong county into the future. So let me tell you a little bit more what I'm talking about. Certainly, you're becoming more walkable in places all around the county. Some of the cities, Decatur, Chamblee, Stonecrest, are embracing walkability and livability kinds of developments. But also a major economic development like the continuing transformation of the former GM plant into Studio City, which is a marvelous project for our entire region, let alone DeKalb County. And then the continued expansion and development of the Emory Healthcare Campus and the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta campuses off I-85 is critically important, not only for DeKalb, but for the region as a whole. DeKalb sits in the middle of our region, this very vibrant and important region in Georgia, this 11 county area that stretches from Forsyth and Cherokee in the north down to Fayette and Henry and Clayton in the south. But you don't exist in a vacuum. And so what you do affects the region as a whole, and the region as a whole, of course, affects you. I would dare to say that if we looked at the data, many of your employees and many of your customers probably live in other parts of the region. And you yourself may have a business, but you may not even be a resident of DeKalb, although I imagine most of you are. But as a collective group and through the DeKalb Chamber, and I've heard Frankie say this, you guys have a wonderful opportunity, if not indeed an obligation, to help DeKalb as a county community grow and thrive. So let's take a look at what some of those challenges might be. So if you look back to from 1980 to 2020, a 40-year stretch, from 1980 to 2000, turn of the century, DeKalb was still one of our faster growing counties by population. And since 2000, it's slowed down a little bit, but still very healthy growth overall. And that period of time from 1980 to 2020 represents more than a 60% growth from over the 40-year stretch. And that is very healthy. There's a lot of places in the United States and in Georgia that would beg to have half that much growth. So you've had healthy growth, but as a mature county, that's slowed down a little bit. And certainly compared to some of our younger counties, younger in terms of their growth phase, Forsyth and Cherokee that have been the fastest growing counties for the last 10 years. DeKalb is growing at a slower rate, but still a very healthy population, as the CEO pointed out, over 770,000 residents, which makes you the fourth largest county in the region, or fourth most populous county in the region. So still critically important as a member. Demographically, DeKalb is diverse like the rest of the region, but your diversity is skewed a little bit more toward African Americans, where you have a higher percentage of residents than most other counties in the region, with fewer whites, Asians, and Hispanics, but not a whole lot different, but just a little bit different. Our economy, and I don't think I need to tell you as businesses, you probably know all this. Our economy is beginning to come back, and that's a good thing. I just read a report that the Federal Reserve is saying that the U.S. economy grew over 5% last year in 2021. So that's good. We're glad to be coming back out of COVID. We're still not where we were, though, before the pandemic. If you look at the total jobs we have in the region now compared to December of 19, when the economy was roaring and unemployment was at historic lows, we're still 38,000 jobs in the region, not DeKalb, but in the region, below where we were at that point in time. And then compared with just a year ago, we're only less than 5,000 jobs less in the region, but we're coming back pretty strong. And how do we compare with the rest of the country? If you look at Metro Atlanta's economy versus many of our peers in the nation, you'll see that we've done better than most, slightly behind where Austin and Dallas have had extremely strong growth. But Metro Atlanta has been in the positive for the most part since clawing back over the last year or so, as opposed to our peers in Washington, D.C., Houston, and even the big behemoths of Los Angeles and New York. So we're holding on fairly well, and we're coming back strong. So what does that mean for us, though, in terms of key economic indicators like wages and inflation. Inflation has been on everybody's mind over the past year or so, and we've all experienced it. Pre-pandemic, our wages were going up very anemically, if I might say that, only 1.6% per year. And I'm going to show you in a minute why that very small increase in wages has been problematic. Now, during the pandemic, of course, we all know that a lot of people have left jobs and have made decisions about changing their balance of their lifestyle and their job. And so employers, and you know this because you live this every day, are offering higher wages for jobs than they were doing just 2 years ago because the demand for labor is out there and we can't get enough of the skilled labor that you need to continue to be productive and thrive. So that's a major challenge for all of us. But inflation itself, year over year, has outstripped even that strong wage growth. And that's where we are encountering the pinch to our pockets and our purses. DeKalb's median income growth, median household income growth has grown tremendously over 20 years. In fact, that represents more than 21% growth in median household income from 51,000 to 62,000, but still is slightly behind the region, which grew at an 18% rate, but still is slightly ahead of where DeKalb is. So the 10 county region, we didn't include Forsyth because Forsyth just became a member last year. So the 10 county region, our median household income was just over $69,000 as compared to DeKalb at $62,000. Not a whole lot of different, but a little bit behind there. And I think this is fascinating to me. I think if you look at where your primary employment was coming from 20 years ago versus where your primary employment is coming from now, it's a kind of a tell of the tape. Manufacturing was the number one employer in DeKalb in 2000. Now it's the number 4 employer. And you'll see that educational services went from number 3 to number 1. And in honesty, a lot of those times you're trading off higher wage jobs in manufacturing than you have in educational services, which is probably why the median household income hasn't necessarily kept up with where the region is. So as you think about how you want to try to grow the fundamental economy of the county, you certainly don't want to undervalue these great employing sectors like education, retail, health, and social, but you want to see where you can try to strengthen and grow more of the higher wage jobs that you have as a base in your region, in your county, excuse me. Now, having said that, DeKalb has equity challenges that mirror the whole region, and I pull out these two because these represent your highest average household income tract and your lowest household income tract in DeKalb County, and they are only a few miles apart. In fact, this is less than 5 miles apart from each other. Roughly $169,000 average household income in one census tract, and in a census tract not very far from it, just $28,000 as the average household income. So what can we do to try to close those gaps? And as I said, this mirrors the same kind of problems. I could do this in every county in the region. If I did it as a region as a whole, you'll see we have this kind of great disparity. And our challenges as business and as community leaders is what we can do to improve the mobility for those on the lower end of our economic spectrum to help them become better wage earners, higher wage earners, and stronger workers and households for your businesses and your communities. Likewise, we have this disparity in lifespan inequity, and you'll see here Dunwoody, almost 87 years on average. A person who lives there can expect to live about that long on average, as opposed to the Tucker Rock Mountain area, which is just over 68 years. Not quite 20 years difference, but almost 20 years difference in life expectancy. And again, that reflects a problem that we see all over the region. It's not just a DeKalb problem. So I'm not picking on DeKalb when I point this out, just saying that we have a universal challenge and that DeKalb is a critically important part and needs to be a critically important partner in the region in trying to help address these issues. Every year, for the last 9 years, the ARC has done, the Atlanta Regional Commission, the ARC has done an residents perception survey in which we ask over 5,000 residents basically the same fundamental sets of questions about how they perceive life in the region, how they have an outlook, where they're having their challenges, whether they think we're going to be better off in 3 or 4 years or not. And I just wanted to point this one out because this is, DeKalb has this at a higher rate than the region on average. And that is a question about how could you pay for a $400 emergency? You had a car breakdown, you have to do a $400 repair on the job. Or something happened to the house, you need $400 to repair that. Would you have the cash? Would you have to borrow the money? Would you have to sell something? And so 1 in 3 DeKalb residents, almost 1 in 3 DeKalb residents said they would have to borrow the money from somebody, sell something to raise the funds, or they would not be able to pay it. Well, for the region of the whole, that ratio is slightly lower. It's about 1 in 4. And so that's something to be concerned about. Where can we focus our attention on trying to help families who are in the lower income of the spectrum in DeKalb have more stability and to be able, again, as we said, increase their economic outlook chances. And then in terms of having the question of, have you had to cut the size of a meal or skip meals in order to save money? This answer from DeKalb residents, 1 in 5, is consistent with the same ratio that we've had all across the region. And in fact, this has been consistent in the survey for the last 4 years that we've asked this question. So roughly 20% of our regional residents, as well as DeKalb residents, have experienced what we call food insecurity. And we certainly saw this during the pandemic. It's not a surprise to any of us when we saw all the people waiting in lines to get food assistance and food supplements from local churches, from the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and other charitable food providers. So that's no surprise to any of us. And then this is not a surprise anymore. When I start talking about this 5 or 6 years ago, people thought I was maybe exaggerating a little bit, but housing affordability has become a major problem throughout the region, and DeKalb is emblematic of that. Let me show you some numbers. So in 2020, the median home sale price in DeKalb County was $250,000. But in 2013, it was half of that. So in 7 years, the median home sale price has doubled. Now, if you're the individual homeowner, of course, that's wonderful. Your home is more valued, gives you something of greater value to sell or to borrow against for paying for college for your children, or to help start a business or help support your business. But on the whole, what that means is that we've become increasingly less affordable for younger people coming out of college or moving into the region, or even for seniors trying to stay in their homes as they age and being able to keep up with the tax bills that come with that increasing home value. So such a skyrocketing home prices, and not only DeKalb, but throughout the region, but DeKalb, it's been particularly sharp, is one of our major challenges. Right now, we know that more than 1 in 3 people in our entire region, households in our region, are cost burdened, which means they have to pay more than 30% of their income for just housing. And most economists and most sociologists who understand family stability, household stability will tell you that's dangerous territory. In fact, I will say, it's not on here, but I know for a fact that we have some counties and some precincts and census tracts in our counties where homes are 50% of their income, where households have 50% of their income going to housing. That's a very unstable housing. They're living paycheck to paycheck very uncomfortably. And toward that problem, we have only been building about a third of the housing that we were building pre-recession. And that's critically important. By pre-recession, I mean the Great Recession of the 2007, 2008, 2009 period. Since then, we've only been building a third of the housing of any type that we were building before then. And if we try to track units that are $1,000 or less, and how many are being built in the region, because that's the level of affordability that the average household income can handle easily. And what we see is that since 2000, over the last 20 years, we have only built 23,000 housing units, or this includes apartments that rent for $1,000 or less, $1,000 per month or less. That's a major problem with affordability. So I point all this to just give you some more data to underlie the fact that our affordability is at risk. Oh, excuse me, went too far. Our affordability is a risk. And, you know, for the longest time, I think you all probably are aware of the fact that for the longest time, the Atlanta region and Georgia has competed economically because we were so affordable. It was affordable to start a business here. It was affordable to start a family here. It was affordable to set yourself on a career path as a young adult here. But we're losing one of the major elements of that affordability, and therefore we're losing one of the major elements of our competitiveness as a region, as a county, and as a state. And it's something that requires all of us to work for. Towards that end, the Atlanta Regional Commission started several years ago to really try to focus on what we could do to promote more information and more ideas to help local government leaders work on affordability strategies in their particular part of the region, in their particular county or their particular city, because it tends to be very localized and it's hard to compare one community to the next unless you understand their underlying dynamics. With that, we've established this website and this Metro Atlanta housing strategy. You can go in here and at a census tract level, look at what the housing types are, what their average age is, what their average price is, and a lot of the other factors that underlie housing. And through that, we also suggest strategies, whether it's zoning, whether it's construction, whether it's additional financing, or things of that nature that local governments can do to help address this issue. Because it's going to take all of us, and it's a generational thing. We're not going to solve this in 5 years. This is a 10, 15, 20-year kind of a problem to try to bend the curve on housing affordability in the region. We've also recently, just last year, set up a local leadership housing action committee in which we've got 15 mayors and county commission chairs, and it's led by the Gwinnett County Commission chairwoman, Nicole Hendrickson. We got them voluntarily to come together to educate themselves more on the dynamics of what's driving housing pricing and housing affordability or lack of affordability in their respective jurisdictions, their cities or their counties. And then to think about strategies collectively that they can enact at the local level to begin to help address this. So we're really excited to see what's going to come out of that this year. This will be the first cohort, and if it's successful, we're going to take in another cohort of 15 mayors and county commission chairs and continue to work on it. It's just our part of trying to help this major problem that we all face. So in closing, I'd like to just say that DeKalb has always been a critically important part of this Metro Atlanta region. In fact, the city of Decatur was established long before the city of Atlanta. Some people don't even know that in history. So you've been around and you've been significant and important. You're now one of the mature counties in the region, much larger population. So your percentage growth rate isn't going to be as large as some of the outlying counties like Cherokee or Forsyth. But your total population is still growing at a healthy rate. And it's important that we do everything we can to be sure that DeKalb can grow as in a healthy fashion. And of course, that you as businesses can survive, and not only survive, but thrive, being profitable, but also being community contributors to help drive progress and embrace innovation in DeKalb. So with that, I'll turn it back over to I believe Elaine is going to take us away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug, so much for those definitely key data points and just so much interesting information. I hope everyone took a lot away from that, because there was a lot in there that will help us to plan for our next step for the future. Doug is truly an asset for the state of Georgia and the Atlanta metro region. He's engaged as a leader and with the desire to advance the community interest in education, workforce development, and racial justice. And as you all heard, he is an accomplished musician. So we are excited. If you have a chance to check out his program, definitely do that. But after his retirement from the Atlanta Regional Commission and some global travel, we could see Doug again in some capacity with advancing the interest of communities in the region. So again, Doug, thank you so much for being our keynote speaker for our 84th annual meeting. We've now reached the closing of our program today. Before we adjourn, though, I want to share my appreciation to the Chamber staff, Frankie Atwater and Stephanie Strength. They have done a tremendous job and with their work and dedication to advancing the Chamber's vision, but also for putting together this entire program today. So we want to definitely give them a big shout out. I also want to recognize the work of our board of directors and committee members for volunteering your time to advance the mission and vision. I also want to thank our sponsors and thank you, Tony, for popping in today and you all for attending today. I hope that you have witnessed and heard what is navigating through the pandemic, but DeKalb is open for business. Through strong partnerships and collaboration, we are here to grow DeKalb for the future. We invite you to visit our event calendar and continue engagement with us. We also have a virtual networking session at the conclusion of this event. So all you have to do is just click the networking button to the left of your screen to enjoy one-on-one video chats with other attendees who are here today. With that, I'd like to thank you all for 84 years of extraordinary leadership, and our meeting is now adjourned.